Greetings, listeners, and welcome to The Spiritual Experience, a show where we share stories of life, love, and redemption for all of humanity on Earth. So sit back and enjoy. Try to identify with the speakers and not compare. Don't forget to subscribe on all podcast platforms. I'm your host, Jay Lewis, and here we go. Yo, what up, everybody? We're back. Spiritual Experience. You know the deal. Like and subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere. Yeah, we're everywhere, bro. We're everywhere, bro. Yeah. And things are looking up. Things are doing good. Yeah, man. I've had an interesting week. A couple of good things going on, and you know, we can get into it. Well, you know, I can deconstruct some of this stuff. I spent a few days, doing what's called, I guess, going down like a YouTube rabbit hole of this show. Because, you know, I want my show to be better. I mean, I like it the way that it is, to be honest with you. But I'm also humble enough to know that, like, you know, there's guys out there that do things a little differently than me, and I will never pretend to know everything. So I started watching this show where this guy's interviewing people, and I'm sure most of you heard of it. It's called Soft White Underbelly, you know. And to be frank, he's asking like a handful of questions. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of editing that goes on to make it the stories and everything sound seamless. But it's so, you know, I was talking to this guy who is going to be helping me with some marketing stuff, right? Some online shit or whatever, promotions. Who knows, right? And I was telling him that, like, a lot of these other shows or other podcasts that I listen to, it's like freaking reality show disaster porn. That's what it's like, you know? Anyway, and I got sucked down one of these rabbit holes like freaking one after another, you know? And it always starts with the same, right? Oh, mafia hitmen, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm down for that. A couple of Aryan guys, I think, I don't know, some Chinese fucking gang leader. And then there's a bunch of women in there, fucking, you know, and I'm listening. And the stories are interesting. They're interesting, but it's like starting to, I don't know, it's just like getting me down, man. I'm very, what do you call it? I'm very like, I'm influenced easily, you know? So the more that I allow myself to let that stuff seep into my brain, the worse I fucking feel. And it was bizarre. I mean, it was a stark reminder, you know, for me. And every day I was going home and I was, you know, telling my lady how much I loved her and all this other stuff, man. Because let me tell you, it's like, you know, you always, what's the saying that if everybody threw their problems on the table, you know, you'd want yours back, you know. There are some people out there who have had really rough lives. Not all of it is from their choice. A lot of it, some of it is just circumstance, you know? And it's crazy. I'm like, dude, I don't know how people could, you know, there was this one story, man, this girl, fuck, man, like her mom was like basically like prostituting her. It was just so crazy. I was just like, you know, I live in like La La Land, Yellow Submarine. But that stuff happens like all the time. And then she, obviously had a lot of bad relationships because of that and whatever, because that's what was done to her mom. And just like this crazy cycle of terror, And there's all these people that are walking around with all of these like bruises and lashes that life has given them that they didn't do anything to deserve that. They just didn't. And it's fucking sad, man. It was sad. And it made me fucking sad, bro. It really did. And it stayed on me because then I was just like, I kept going and going and going. Then I think about my own lady. I'm like, bro, she listens to these true crime things all the fucking time. And I'm like, maybe she has better at separating that stuff than me. But I wonder what would happen if she just listened to stories of and books about something else. Because for me, I only spend 3 or 4 days doing that. And at the end of 4 days, I was feeling like shit. I was fucking depressed. And I would say, frankly, yeah, it was like I invested how many? Let me see if I can look. Maybe it'll have it here. I'm not sure. What are you crazy? Yeah, how much do you tip the Uber guy? 20%, right? That's $8.50. Fucking, Jesus. In my brain, the Jew brain, I'm like, that's fucking way too much. But then my boys, Sammy told me that the Uber guys are not getting like 50%. They're getting like some other shit that's not 50%. So, that guy can get $8 for that. So let me take a look. If it has like my history, view all, right? So, yeah. 1, 2, 3. I don't know, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, like 6 episodes of this show since, what day is that? Hold on. Since Thursday. So Thursday, that's like Thursday, Friday, that's by like, yeah. Dude, that's like 6 hours of fucking mayhem. Fucking mayhem. It was like one guy, retired undercover narcotics guy, then the hitman, then the sex trafficking survivor. Then I wanted to listen to Michael Franchise because I love him. Then, this one, I cut it off after like a couple of minutes. It was the last one. I couldn't take it. Obsessive compulsive woman, an ex-porn fucking star, whatever, And I was just like, but the lives that some of these people lived from inception was like very, yeah, man. There's a lot of that goes on this earth. It's like, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, okay, like my home wasn't perfect that I grew up in. But it was nothing like some of these people. The defenselessness, I guess, if you want to call it that. Yeah, they're like defenseless. Young people growing up at the hands of like their parents who are just animals, bro. Like they don't need to be procreating. And my girl, my fiance, her and her sister, they come from that kind of family where like it's pretty fucking bad, like extremely, and yeah. I mean, it's not my place to really say, but one day, she'll never come on here and spill her guts because she's such a quiet, she's like a little mouse. She's my sweetheart. But maybe her sister one day will come up here and then just like spray the whole corner and you guys will be like, holy shit. Yeah. So, that's my job, man. They're my assignment. It's like, listen, man, I got to be the best person I can be. I got to be the most loving, caring, understanding, forgiving person that I can be. And she's not like my little pet project. on any level, because she was in a position when she met me, and yeah, we were listening to Jordan Peterson. He was on Rogan, and he was talking about how, like, aggressive alpha, if they want to quote unquote call it that, like aggressive men, their attitude and outlook on life is just aggression. Like, I gotta get it. And like, they're very good at providing, but they need to be domesticated, because that aggression a lot of times also goes on in the home, And when I met my fiance, that's where I was at, Like, it was enough that, like, maybe she knew or maybe she didn't know that, like, we were going to have some of the successes that we've had, and we're going to continue to have them. But also, I was relentless in my attitude. Yeah. And there wasn't really anybody else to be accountable to. And, it's just my son and myself. I had girlfriends that I dated for, I don't know, a bunch of years. Maybe one of them lasted a year. The rest of them, a couple of months here, there, this, that. Nobody staying around. And, yeah, and it wasn't all me. Like, some of them, they were fucked up too. And I just wasn't ready to change. But my girl, I don't know, man. It's like, when you know. So, yeah, she had to domesticate me. And actually she didn't, I don't know if she did it. I'm doubtful. I mean, I give her credit for being the motivation. The motivation for doing it, I give her a lot of credit, because you ain't ready until you're ready. We were talking about this yesterday. I was in a meeting. My boy Frank the Tank, he was speaking over there, Sheepshead Bay. Crushed it, right? And then there's these guys, man, that they're just like, this is in an AA meeting. And they're like, yeah, you got to, when you're sponsoring somebody, you got to take them through the steps, and you got to, like, really, like, going fucking crazy, And it made the whole tone of the meeting like that. And, like, what people have to do. And I'm like, fucking for what? Like, it doesn't have to be like it. Number one, it's not like that. Number two, it doesn't have to be like that. I mean, that was my story also, but I've also been around that environment long enough to know that when somebody's ready, there's nothing. When somebody's ready to change, right? There's nothing you can say that's wrong. And when somebody's not ready to change, there's nothing you can say that's right. And that's just the fucking truth, And that's been my experience just throughout life, but it started, really in that program, So then I was just like, a lot of times I shut up. I try not to share at meetings, but I do share. I put my 2 cents in. I say, listen, man, everybody's talking all this tough fucking AA talk, like you're going to whip people into shape, And I'm just like, dude, I was like, the guy who helped Bill W. get sober, who was one of the founding members of Alcoholics Anonymous, is Bill W., Dr. Bob, and then there was like this third guy who gets no credit because he fucking relapsed. Anyway, the guy that shows up to help Bill W., his name was Ebby Thatcher. And all he did was show up, and he just shared his story. This is how I stopped drinking. I joined this group, the Oxford group, and it was like a Christian or whatever. I'm not going to say fundamentalist group, but a Christian group. They focus on not drinking, and that's where we get some of the steps that we do from, is from them. being accountable to your word, doing an inventory, and changing your ways, I guess, a confession, if you want to say it like that, then changing your ways, going and making restitution for harms done, prayer, meditation, whatever, right? So I'm like, yeah, but this guy, he didn't show up in the beginning with a fucking paper and pen talking about, go ahead, make some columns, and now we're going to find out why you've been a piece of shit your whole life. It's not what he did. He was just like, listen, this is what happened to me. This is where I was, and this is where I'm going to be. And yeah, and I think that applies like fucking everywhere. That applies everywhere. So, where I learned that was, I said, listen, there's more than one way to do everything. So what I'm saying is that, like, I was motivated by losing her. I was motivated by that. And I didn't, and I was ready. I was ready. And I was starting to ask for help in ways that I wasn't asking before. From people who I knew could help me. And it wasn't like theory, like somebody read in a book and took a fucking quiz and got a degree on the wall. It's like people who've also been in long-term relationships, and some of them burned them to the ground, and some of them did not. And some of them burned them down and rebuilt them, and this is where they are right now. And I think that's the key. Experience, like what, who has that kind of experience that I can draw from. So, but what was going on is that, like, to bring it back to what I was saying before, like I spent a couple of days listening to, like, listen to fucking 10, 12 hours of this shit. Dude, I didn't feel good about myself in any way. I was reminded of the ways that some of the ways I behaved towards people that I loved, towards women, towards whatever. You know what I'm saying? If I can see somebody abusing somebody else and say, okay, maybe I didn't do that exactly, but I did something in the same, I didn't do that, but I did that thing's fucking first cousin, I'm reminded. And, yeah, so I got a lot of help, and it domesticated me so that way I can marry this girl. Oh, she's still around. But, I spent going back to what I was saying, I spent like 4 days listening to this stuff or whatever, however many days. Dude, I felt like shit. Man. It reminded me I have to stay positive. I have to stay cognizant that there is that stuff that's going on Earth. And but also stay positive and be like, dude, I can't be drowning myself in that kind of shit, because let me tell you, what happened within those few days. One of those days I was in Wegmans with my cousin, and we were getting some food or whatever, and I was saying fuck it to a lot of things. I've been saying fuck it to the gym, and like whatever, and my all the other things that helped me, the exercise, the eating, all that other stuff, I've been saying fuck it. And I guess maybe part of me just wanted to feel bad. So anyway, when I'm in Wegmans, I'm like, I buy a little bit of food, nothing too crazy. What do they call them? Like, they call them pot stickers, but they're really like dumplings. So I'm looking, I'm like, all right, I can eat 4 of these. I can eat 4 fucking wings. I'm okay. And I go to pay. And I pay. And I take a bottle of water. And I stared at it for 5 seconds. And I said, I ain't paying for this shit. And I stole a fucking bottle of water. That's what I did. Now, maybe some of you guys are laughing and whatever, and that's funny. And it is funny. So, it is funny. But, it's not. It's like legit been maybe the last time I did that was like 15, 16 years ago that I stole something from a store or something or from somebody, and not just like gray area. I'm going to cut a corner here or there or stay out of trouble by doing less. Like sometimes you have to do that, Sometimes you're like, hey, look, yeah. But this was unjustifiable, unreasonable stealing. And I was like, fucking look at you. And, yeah. And I don't have to do any kind of inventory about it or any of that stuff. And it sounds very silly, but dude, that's not who I am. That's not who I was that person in that moment. That's not who I want to be. So it just reminds me, like, dude, just because I got myself cleaned up doesn't mean I got a fucking lobotomy. I guess if I don't stay on the beam, I have these tendencies, to revert to being a fucking slime ball. And, yeah. And that's not, it's not very kosher. It doesn't make me feel good. It's almost like, when I eat crazy and then I feel good for the moment and I feel like shit fucking for days and all that weight just stays on you. That's what that's like. So temporary whatever, temporary satisfaction for long-term, repercussions. Yeah, so I fucking stole. Which is funny, because then in the same weekend, what happened? I had a wonderful weekend, right? Aside from that. Okay, so whatever. That was like maybe Friday, Saturday. Well, I did something Saturday. I don't know what I did. I did whatever. Oh, Saturday I worked a little bit. Sunday was the big day. Sunday was my 13th swim, so I became an official Coney Island Polar Bear. Woohoo! Where's the thing? Yeah, so I became an official Coney Island Polar Bear, and yeah, and that was nice. That was nice. I got to, kind of give. I brought in a couple of these things that call them bribes, and it's a positive experience being a polar bear. And there's not a lot of us. I don't know how many there are. Maybe 200, maybe 100. I don't know. But I know that in order to be an actual polar bear, it's not like I've been talking about this for a while. It's not like New Year's Day. Oh, I'm going to go dip in the water for 5 seconds. It's like, no, dog, you are going in that water for 20 minutes, 20 times or whatever. 12 times. So between November and now, it's been like 14 swims, but I missed one of them, I think. So every Sunday, when it's freaking cold, I'm in that water for 20 minutes with these other guys, and these other gals. And it's cool, and I enjoy it. And it's something that I appreciate it because I started something and I finished. I started and I finished. And that's what happened. That's how the evolution happens. It's, I can't do it on my own. I have to, if I was out there, I don't even know. I don't know how long I would be able to stay if I was out there by myself in that ocean. It's fucking cold, man. It's cold. And I wear like the neoprene gloves and the shoes, and there's like something I wear underneath my underwear, which is also neoprene, so that way, I don't, that way my balls will still be attached to my body because it's fucking cold. The water is like maybe, 40, 39 degrees, whatever. And it's however cold it is that day, maybe 30 something. A few times it was colder than that. And the worst thing is the wind. When the wind is there, it's crazy when the wind is there. It's crazy. So I did that. And I got to thank everybody. And I made like a little speech where you kind of like begging them to vote for you. And it's funny because I'm sure I spoke about this before, but yeah, like some of these people, like, I guess I'm a bear now, so maybe they treat me different, almost as if I made it through, and now a couple of more people a little bit more warm. Nobody was super cold, but they were a little bit standoffish. I mentioned that before. And then when I was in the war, they're like, hey, I'm like, oh, what up? You know? But, yeah. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they don't know the kid. They don't know that I'll make myself finish. I may suffer, but I'll make myself. If I start, that's one of the things that I learned in recovery. You start something, you finish. You know, nobody likes a quitter, right? That's what Macho Man said. There's one guarantee in life, and that there are no guarantees. That's right. Nobody likes a quitter. And I know because I quit. I quit so many times, so many things. I quit or didn't give myself the opportunity to win or to finish. Finishing anything is winning for me, you know, and that's what I had to surrender to. Like, it doesn't matter first place. It matters me finishing, because I don't finish anything. I fucking lie and cheat my way out and do because I don't want to be good enough to finish. I want to feel like shit. That's my thing. I'm not going to say who doesn't. Who doesn't love feeling like shit? Like self-pity? That's my drug of choice, bro. That's my drug of choice. So, I did that. And then after that, so to tie everything together, when I first met my fiance, she came with the two girls, and I had my son. My little one, my baby one, she's like the daughter. She is the daughter I never had. She's the daughter I never had. She's 16. So I've known her since she was like 6 or 5, maybe. Yeah. So she's the little boo that I never had. Love that kid. And my attitude and my energy was so uninviting and abrasive, and like I have to take over everything because nobody knows how to live except for me, that this little kid, she wouldn't even talk to me. Like, I'd be in front of him like, yo, why aren't you answer? I'm talking to you. You need to answer back. Like, it was like that, and she was just so petrified. She would just stare at me. I'm like, what is up with this girl? Meanwhile, it's like, no, what is up with me? What is up with me? And I'm not everybody's fucking cup of tea. And here's this little person who was powerless in the choice of whether or not I was around. And, she's like, yeah, she's one of my best friends. She's my best friend, one of my best friends. And that is a fact. So it started out that way. And because of all of you, and because of me being in that program of self-improvement and self-reflection, and being surrounded by people who lovingly call me out on my shit. And sometimes they don't do it lovingly, but they're right. And they help me to win. After I finished my last, my 13th swim, got my little patch, all my stuff. Everybody was nice. I go home, and that little girl that would never talk to me, she came with me and helped me pick out my tuxedo to marry her mama. And that is the miracle. That's amazing to me, that I can start in one thing and then evolve into something else. And she evolved also, We all change at different speeds, at different whatever. We all do. And it's just about, I guess when everybody's ready, they'll be ready. And then I'm just grateful, and I feel lucky enough that I happen to be in a lifestyle where people are willing to help me. So I guess my homework for you guys and for myself is, how can I be there for other people in that way to help them win? And how can I allow other people to get close to me so that way I can win? Because when it's not just about me. It's we're all going to win. If I win, I help you win. You win, you help the next person win. And everybody's trying to help each other. Nobody's trying to hurt each other. We have to surrender that judgment. This place is like going fucking crazy. It's like literally like it's going crazy. This country is going crazy. The country's going to shit. I feel like one of those guys now. Like, bro, the UFOs, it's so crazy. The UFO thing is crazy. They're shooting down UFOs. Those chemical spills that are happening in Ohio and shit, those train derailments and whatever, and those chemicals are like all over the fucking rivers. People are gonna die. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be like Chernobyl, but like, how do you have it where, people like, they're saying like the gas stove is no good for you, but chemical spills in the river is okay. Like, that's how crazy this fucking thing is. This place has gotten. And another cycle of insanity is coming. We have to get fucking ready, bro. We have to. Orange Boy is coming back. And he's going to fight fucking Weekend at Bernie's. And we're all going to be in this position. Like, who, does it even really matter? I mean, to some people, of course it matters. Shut the fuck up. Does it even really matter? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's always so crazy. There's going to be more, hopefully, between the last time, this guy ran and now, there's been so much exposed of how crazy some people can get. And then hopefully now it'll be a little bit easier. I think now it's going to be a little bit more folly and funny. Some people don't think Donald Trump is funny. I think he's hilarious. I think the fact that we have a geriatric fucking old man in the White House right now is crazy. I think that's crazy. But these people, like, they're animals, man. All these politicians are all fucking animals. They're all animals. I was listening to, I subscribe to Substack that TK News. It's Matt Taibbi. And then he went on, the Golden Boys show. And they had such a nice, they have such a way about them where some people are like, all right, an example is this, right? When Trump was running for president, they'd be like, well, if you vote for him, I guess racism doesn't matter to you. You can be like, well, if you vote for Hillary, I guess sexism doesn't matter for you. Because her husband is a fucking molester, fucking animal, and accused rapist. Sorry, pal. You know what I'm saying? So, like, no, nobody wants to. It's such a rough spot to fucking be in. And they described it really, really good. I'm going to play this thing. Hopefully it'll queue up properly. Wait, you hear that? That's the speaker, because I'm trying to get it to be nice. Where is this? Come on, Bluetooth. Oh, we're on. Okay. Let me see if this comes through good. If not, then fucking whatever. What do you want me to tell you? What is this? Yeah, it should be it. Okay. Okay, hang on. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, 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 bow. All right, hang on.
Shit. Look, if the guy can, and he's good off the cuff. It's not saying he's the best leader we've ever had. Not saying he's a great statesman or a great president or even a good representation of what America's supposed to stand for. Because not. He's not. You know, and it's a real problem. It's a real problem because there's a lot of people that are conservative-minded, fiscally conservative, hardworking people. They don't like any of his antics, and they're forced to choose between someone they deeply disrespect versus someone who they also deeply disrespect. It's like, what am I doing here?
Right.
How do I go? I'm trying to figure out if I'm conservative anymore. Am I a liberal now? And you don't know because you don't want to align yourself with problematic personalities that also embody some of the economic ideas that you agree with.
Right. But his send up of the whole process,
Yeah.
Was accurate.
Yeah.
You know,
The swamp.
I mean, the self seriousness of it, right? He was constantly kind of making fun of how seriously people like Hillary Clinton took themselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, that describes me like 1 gazillion %. You know, how do you even, what do you do? What do you do, bro? The only thing I could do is just try and love and be good to the next person. That's the only thing. I was saying that in like my speech at the Polar Bear shit, that when I came there, it's like, bro, nobody checked my credit score or who I voted for or any of this other stuff. It was just about, dude, you want to get in the water? Do you want to feel the love? This is what we're doing. And I think that's like kind of how, you know, how we need to go forward. It's just like that. Same thing like, yo, when you come into AA or NA or whatever, there's going to be people who are very problematic because they're people, you know, but as a whole, dude, nobody cares who you voted for. Nobody cares what you do for a living. Nobody cares what color you are. Nobody cares what gender you are. At least the meetings that I go to. And there's plenty of other meetings that maybe it's different. But I can take you to meetings where none of that matters. And they just want you to be happy. And they want you to be successful. And they want you to start things and finish things. That's what successful is. They want you to experience love. And they want you to experience gratitude. And they're willing to help you do that, even against your own will. You know? And that's why I think it's so important that we live like that, you know? And it's not easy. It's not, look, I have plenty of family members that go through a lot of shit, and then they halfway come to me for counsel, and then they fucking disappear, and then I'm like, dude, why am I wasting my time fucking helping you? And then you don't take my advice, and then B, then you disappear. And then I'm like, no, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's just me. Maybe my job is to just, hey, look, here's the information I know based on my own experience, not based on theory, but based on my experience with regret of either not being more effective by doing things this way or regret from doing nothing. And then because there's a consequence no matter what. There's a consequence of doing nothing. There's a consequence of doing something. And that's the truth. That's the fucking truth, you know? So, you know, and then I would get resentful, but, you know, I try to let that go. And I did in most cases, you know? So that's why a lot of times I'll just come to the meetings and I just sit there and I just chill, man. Everybody knows who I am. You know, my name is good. They know my program is good. So periodically when I do stick my hand up and they call on me, they know I'm going to drop some shit. They know I'm going to drop some shit because I have a lot of experience and not a lot of knowledge. But, I don't know, last thing I'll say is that, yo, man, I'm really grateful. I'm grateful my lady made it out of, and her sister made it out of the life they had. into the life that we have now. And it's remarkable that they're not more fucked up than, maybe they are. And they're not really that fucked up. But, it could have really went another way. So I'm happy about that. Happy I have you guys. More shit coming down the pike in the next few weeks. More will be revealed. I love you guys. I'm out of here. Peace. Okay, everybody, we'd like to thank you for joining us on The Spiritual Experience. Please don't forget to like and subscribe on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, Pandora, everywhere. And please find us on Facebook, where you can become part of our family. We'll see you around.